Mara, can you make sure that Jenna has sharing rights?
Yes, 1 second.
Thank you.
They should be able to share. Let me know if they're able to.
Thank you. So it is 5 after, and I am going to go ahead and get us started. We've got a lot that we want to go through today to get us started with planning, thinking about, and getting ready for the next federal review, or EHS-CCP FA2. That's, we know we will be getting and could be as soon as September. So want to go ahead and get started. Just wanting to make sure, I've been looking to see who's here. We have a couple of agencies who have not joined yet, but I'm hoping they will join us in the next few minutes. So I want to just make sure that I introduce why we're doing this to everybody, so that those of you who did not go through the first or the EHS expansion review with us, just want you to understand that we are going to do what we're doing today. This won't be the only meeting, but we want to start off by giving you information on what we know about the FA2, helping you think about some of the things you need to do in your organization, but also make sure that you understand how we will be pacing ourselves over the next few months, making sure that when we do get that notification, that we're ready for the review. So Jenna, go ahead, next slide. So as I said, I'm asking everybody to put their information in the chat box so that we can track our attendance for today, and know that this meeting is being recorded so that we will be able to refer back to this, or you will be able to refer back to this as well. Go ahead, next slide. So I do want to do a little bit of introductions here so that we can make sure that you have I have an opportunity for people to understand who's on the call. I know I've got a few people from the division, Children's Services Division, on here with me. But I also want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to introduce yourselves and say what agency you represent, because there's a group of about 19 agencies that we fund with Early Head Start CCP. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to my screen so I can see who's on. And I am going to ask the first person whose name I see to go ahead and get started. And I see Christine Dougherty, and I probably messed up your last name, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute and introduce yourself. And if you're speaking, we're not hearing you. All righty, we're going to go ahead, Christine, we're going to go ahead. William, go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll come back.
Thank you, Sarita. Good morning, everyone. William Hill, Assistant Director of Children's Services Division at DFSS, Program Quality and Program Development Unit. Thank you. I'll pass it over to Tamala White.
Excuse me, I was chewing. Thank you, William. Good morning, everyone. I am Tamala White, Supervisor of Quality and Development as well. Nice to meet everyone. I now pass it over to Angela Hughes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angela Hughes. I'm with the Department of Family and Support Services. I pass it over to B. Nichols.
Thank you, Angela. Good morning, everyone. B. Nichols, Director of Human Services. I'm going to pass it to Jacinta.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jacinta Passanant. I am the supervisor over Team A and Team D. and I will pass it over to Elaine.
Good morning, everyone. I am Elaine Millsap Parker. I am the Assistant Director in Program Operations. Welcome today. Happy Friday. And I will turn it over to Zariah.
Good morning. I'm Soraya Miranda. I'm the Assistant Director for Children's Services, and I will pass it to Alpha Jackson.
Hello, this
Just muted yourself, Alpha.
hold on.
We hear you. Go ahead.
Nope, you're back on mute. Unmute and then try again. Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello, this is Alpha Jackson, Executive Director for Trinity Childcare. And I'm going to pass this on to Tania Russell.
Good morning. My name is Tania Russell Burns. I am the Director of Enrollment and Eligibility, as well as the Director of Social Services for Trinity United Childcare. And I will pass it over to Sheree Johnson.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am new. That's what I am. But my name is Sheree Johnson. I am the manager of, it'd be nice if I knew that, huh? I'm the manager of family support programs over program operations and quality. I just started July 1st. So I am the new kid on the block. I am going to pass it to Gina. Gina Ruther.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jenna Ruther. I'm with Breakwater Associates, supporting the FA2 preparation. Oh, and I can't see anybody, so let me look at my list. I'll pass it to Stacy.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Project Manager for Children's Services Division. Welcome, happy Friday, and let's get ready to work. And I'll pass it to Ariella.
Aurelia, thank you.
Aurelia, sorry.
No problem. I'm Aurelia Daniels. I am the Director of Family and Community Engagement at It Takes a Village Family of Schools. And I will pass it to Tasia.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tasia Evans, and I am the Director of Programs for It Takes a Village Family of Schools. And I am going to pass it over to Maggie.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Declan Joseph, and I am an infant toddler specialist and disability coordinator for It Takes a Village organization as well. And I am going to pass it over to Ms. Sharice Williams.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharice Williams. I am infant toddler specialist, disability coordinator for It Takes a Families of Schools. And I'm going to change it over to Miss Spann, Jasmine Spann.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Spann. I'm the Director of Education at It Takes a Village Family of Schools, and I'm going to pass it to Dorothy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dorothy Colgary. I'm the ED for YMCA Early Education and Care, which include Early Head Start CCP. And I am going to pass it to Alpha J.
I think I already gone, but this is Alpha Jackson again. If you can hear me, Trinity Childcare.
Go ahead, Nina, and then we'll keep going.
Sure. Good morning, Nina Dueñas, Vice President of El Valor for Children's Services. How about Ms. Gwendolyn Harris? Sorry, I muted myself too soon. Ms. Gwendolyn Harris?
I'm Gwendolyn Harris, Chief Programming Officer for It Takes a Village Family of Schools. And I need to pass it on, right?
Yep.
How about Sheree? I don't know who went. I was late.
Okay, she went already, so we're gonna say Lynn Lou.
Okay.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, I was a little bit late. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for SGA Youth and Family Service. We have a early Head Start CCP program. Oh, I need to pass it on. I don't know who haven't been on yet.
I
So
can go. I'm Cristina de la Rosa with Executive Director with Erie Neighborhood House. And I feel like it looks like we've all gone, I believe.
Well, we've got.
I haven't gone.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
go. My name is Artisha Rosario. I'm the Program Director for Centers for New Horizons.
Anyone else who hasn't gone, please chime in.
Hi, my name is Diana Daly, Site Director for It Takes a Village.
Adeli?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Areli Julian. I'm the Assistant Director of Children's Services with the FSS, with the admin team overseeing planning and communications.
Thank you. I'm Sarethel Burgess Burnett, Deputy Commissioner, Children's Services Division. Did we miss anyone?
This is Craig Zemke. I'm the Supervisor for Data at DFSS.
Great, thanks, Craig. Zariah, did you go? Okay, great.
I
All
can
right,
go
thanks.
again.
Thanks, everyone, for joining this morning. We want to just go ahead and launch in as our kickoff for our FA2 for our Early Head Start Child Care Partnership. I know some people feel like they just finished the other one, Sarethel, and there hasn't been a lot of time since we've been on a Zoom call. But yeah, we're back together again because it doesn't behoove us to wait until the day of the review or when we get the information that we then start talking, because we know that there's work that you need to do and there's work that we need to do. I think there's one other person, I think Jocelyn's on and didn't introduce herself. So I want to make sure, because I'm trying to make sure I see everyone.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jocelyn Buchanan. I am the assistant to our deputy commissioner. Good morning or afternoon.
Good morning. Thanks, Jocelyn. All right. So again, we're just doing our kickoff today. I've got some things I want to go over with you. Want to just talk about what we have learned from the previous review, give you some information on the kinds of documentation and things that you're going to be receiving, and some of the work that we'll be asking you to do in preparation for the review. What you see in front of you is the agenda. And we do have a webinar that was done by the National Head Start Association, where they met with individuals who had gone through the FA2 previously. And they had a lot of, just great points. And we did this before for the other group. So we do want to take a minute and give people an opportunity just to kind of hear what kinds of things other people were saying. And then we're going to jump into some of the other items on the agenda. Can you click on that, Jenna? Is it working for you? Because if not, we'll just leave it and they will be able to have it. It's spinning and not opening.
Yeah,
all right, let's just go ahead through the slides. The link is going to be in here. It is an active link. It may be because of how we're doing this through the Zoom.
Oops.
But go ahead.
Me turn it off.
Yeah. You might have to get out of the slides and come back in, Jensen.
If you copy it and put it in the chat, you might be able to access it that way.
Okay. I will do that. Let me get back to our slides first. Okay. Is this where you want to be, Sarethel? Or did you want me to go back?
Go ahead back and we'll put it in the chat box and people will have it.
Okay,
So let's just go ahead and go through them.
to this
Okay.
slide or to your agenda?
No, this is fine. We can start here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So one of the things that we know is that the first trigger is we knew that we were going to have 3 separate FA2s, one for each of our grants, one for our expansion, which we just completed. And then the second one, due to the timing of the grant, meaning the 3rd year of the grant, it would be timing for our EHS-CCP review. We could receive it as early as August of 2022, which would give us a September date. And that's why it's important for us to be here talking right now. That 45-day notice is 45 calendar days. So it is not 45 days without the weekend. It includes Saturday and Sunday. So everybody needs to understand it's about that 6-week span, but it is inclusive of that. And so we know we could receive it based on our calendar of activities. This is a time in which we could actually be notified. So that's only a month away. Didn't want to wait until we got any further along to start this conversation. Next slide. So what we know, we did have a very successful FA2 in 2019. And many of you were here as organizations at that time and were participating in that particular review because that one was done for all of our funded agencies. We didn't have expansion at that time, but it did include CCP and Head Start. And so back in 2019, we did have a successful review. So we know as a funder and you as our partners were able to successfully get through an FA2. So want to level set and start there, that I know we can do this. Second, we just completed our FA2 for EHS expansion the week of June 6th through 10th, and we're waiting on that report. We know due to the date that ended, meaning June 10th, that we could be getting our report any day. So we're checking constantly to see where we are with that particular report. What we know from that particular review is that there were a lot of questions around fiscal. So we're waiting to see exactly what the outcome of the fiscal part of the review is. We know that the reviewer did say that the reviewer who had the opportunity to come in and experience classrooms and do the classroom explorations and observations and talk to teachers, that they felt very good about what they saw while on the ground, which is a testament to the work that's being done by all of you. And so again, we're waiting on the report so that we can see exactly what kinds of things might be included in the outcome of that report. When they leave, they don't say, you know, these are the things. They don't do that. They go back, they write their report. Their report then goes to their monitoring team. It goes to Office of Head Start in DC and also the regional office in the city of Chicago. All get copies of the report. And so again, we're waiting on that particular report, and we'll let you know as soon as we get information on that one, because if there's anything in there that's meaningful that we need to be thinking about for this next one, we'll be doing that. I can say to you while going through the review, and we're going to go over it in this document as well, that it implies a lot of work on the hands of your staff, meaning looking at your criminal records check, making sure that we've got all the right teachers in the system, making sure we got professional development plans, all of those things. And we're going to talk about it and support you through it. The other thing that we have here talks about the fact that NHS did gather some other grantees who went through the process. And so you're going to have an active link that'll allow you and your team to see what others have said about the FA2. Next slide. So what we know today is they're still using the hybrid model. What that means is there's a lot of the work can be done virtually, and then there's the on-site. The on-site part of it for us was definitely the classroom observations. Several of the interviews were done on-site. The program management and quality improvement was done with DFSS team. They also had on-site where they met with us regarding education and quality. And they also did on-site, part of it on-site for health and safety. One of the interviewers or individuals was actually here in Chicago that participated in that. But what we do know, again, is we will have file reviews. File reviews are the file reviews of EHS-CCP. They will be looking at child files or EHS-CCP files, looking at those and making sure that they can determine exactly whether or not you, because eligibility is done on your side, that you have actually enrolled children who are absolutely eligible for the Early Head Start CCP program. We're going to go over some of that with you from some lessons learned when we were going through the first one with EHS expansion. So we will be, from the lessons we learned in that one, sharing some of that with you. There were interviews. They wanted to interview parents. They interviewed our parent policy council, a couple of those members. They also interviewed our corporate board or our CCUO members to talk about their side of how they are governing the grant application as well. They did have 4 complete days of working with fiscal, which implied or worked with both our fiscal team at DFSS and also our Office of Budget and Management that's at City Hall. So it became very, very intense and a lot of work that was done around fiscal. But the piece that everything needs to be, and I want to make sure that we impress upon you that all information must be accurate. Your sites and your classrooms. And so when we're looking at what we have in our system, in our HSES system, that system is where all of our agencies rest. And each month, Craig and his team works to do our enrollment reports. The right agency and the right classroom and sites have to be in that system because that's where they're going to pull from. And so we will be doing a little bit of verification, making sure we're not making any mistakes with this because we don't want them to go into that system and pull down the wrong information. So there's some work we'll be doing around that. Next slide. So what we know from right now are subrecipients for our Early Head Start Child Care Partnership Program. And again, this is the list of subrecipients that rest in our HSES system. Here's the list. Again, we'll be working with you because again, you have multiple sites where you have these slots and we will be working with you to verify what we have in HSES. So you will be getting information sent to you where we will want to make sure that everything is accurate going forward. If we need to make any shifts or changes in HSES so that when they get ready to pull their information, we need to be doing that now because we're capturing your enrollment on a monthly basis. And what we don't want to do is go into next month, meaning August, and ending that report that will go to them at the beginning of September with the wrong information. So there's just one step of verification that I want to make. I think we're right, but again, I think verification is always best. And so we're going to be sending out some information and asking you to verify. Next slide. So EHS-CCP file review. I will say thank you to those who participated, who worked with us, who, when we were asking you to update, change, and really, in some cases, most cases, use a new system. Everybody participated, and some of those individuals are on this call because they went through it, and I've already asked them to feel comfortable chiming in. But one of the things that we know is they're going to review a percentage of files. I highlighted 350, and that's based on our current enrollment for our CCP. Could be more, could be less. But again, because of the number that we're funded for, and we're funded for 1,100. When I looked at enrollment at HSES, it was a little over 800. And so just a percentage of that would be the 350. Again, this number could be high, it could be low. But one of the things we know, and I want to say this to all of you, if there are issues with files, they can look at every file. So it's not like we're going to be able to tell you which file. We are going to need every one of your files to be accurate because they will give us a list of files that they want to review. They will pull them, their sample. We don't know the sample. We won't know the sample. I can't tell you which file they'll pull. So every file will need to be correct. Every eligibility file needs to be correct. And we're going to go over what that means. The sample of those files is going to be received approximately 5 days before the review. And so they'll send us the list and they will want us to be able to make sure they can get access to those files. Under the virtual system, we developed a system internally here at DFSS where those files were completed at agencies, and then they were uploaded into a secure file so that we had access to them, because the EHS-CCP file review was conducted with DFSS staff or CSD staff, but they needed access to your files in order to walk through that process. And the system worked, so that kudos to all of you who participated, and also the DFS staff, CSD staff who worked on that. And so we'll be duplicating that. Again, another lesson learned, how to do this virtually. But some of the things they're going to be looking at, and I'm going to stop and ask Jenna to chime in just a minute, but how the program determined the child to be eligible. Did you do a telephone or in-person interview with that family in order to determine this? Because you have to be talking to the parent to say they're eligible. What source documents did you use to determine the eligibility? Were you using a letter where the parent signed off and said, I have zero income? Were you getting a letter from their employer that spoke to their income? Did you have check stubs? Did you have their income tax documentation? We need to have the family size, how many family members, names of individuals, and then the year that that child was first enrolled. The child may have come to you in your infant toddler program and is now an EHS-CCP and maybe now just turned 2 and will be in your program for another year, but may have come in much earlier than that. So when did they first enroll in your program? And so one of the things that I want to say is that one of the things that we are looking at is not just did you look at documentation, but there's a specific time frame that we have to look at in order to determine eligibility. And so I'm going to ask Jenna to help me through this process in talking about eligibility and the look. And it is in the act. We were very lucky, and I'm going to say this to all of you. We were very lucky in 2018 when we did our first review, because this act actually has been on the books, I believe, since 2017, but they did not hold us to what's called relevant time period at that particular time. But all reviewers are told now to look at relevant time period in order to determine if the child is actually eligible. And so Jenna, if you can speak a little bit to that.
Sure, Sarethel. Just a couple of things that you highlighted before I talk about relevant time period. One thing that they will do is, or part of what they normally do is recreate for income eligible children. They'll recreate how you calculated it to make sure that you put them in the right category. For the interview, you need to make sure it's documented somewhere. So notes or dates, something needs to tell what type it was and that it happened. So relevant time period, what the act says is that we have to recreate the income of the family or the activity of the family for 12 months prior to the month that they apply with us. So it's different than how we do CCAP. And we're going to have to add in, Sarethel, one thing I made a note of, we're going to have to add in the CCAP eligibility to this mix, which we didn't have to do with expansion necessarily. They were just looking at Head Start eligibility there. So with for example, a family who says that they have no income and they have a letter, it's not sufficient for the letter to say, I have no income right now. You have to recreate the 12 months prior to when you're taking that application. So you may want to start, I'm going out on a limb here, sorry, telling people what to do, but you may want to start looking at your EHS files or EHS files and just see where relevant income, relevant time period may be an issue in the CCP files, because for Head Start, you have to document their income so they can say, they can provide 2 check stubs for you, but you can't just calculate those check stubs. You have to know how long did they work at that job. So if one of the check stubs tells you when they started, then in the interview, you say to them, okay, so you're applying now in April, you started this job in December, what happened before December? What were you doing before December? So we will hopefully provide some TA sessions where we really go through this in depth and look at it before you start putting these files together. But for now, be mindful, look in the EHS performance standards. There's a link to the definition of relevant time period. You can read it yourself and start looking at your CCP files and see if it's going to be an issue with any of the files.
Are there any questions at this point regarding that?
For our organization, we've been following the process that we were trained on. So we will have to go through every single file, and most of our files will have this issue because this 12-month period is new to us and we haven't been trained on it. We do have a training with Freddie next week. So yeah, our organization, this is gonna hit us big.
That's why we're here today. And I know that those who are doing the work with you, to your point, Freddie is already reaching out. Because as soon as we finished one, they were ready, meaning the team, to say, oh, we need to start working with our organizations now to make sure that they're able to do this. And we recognize that there's 19 of you and there's a lot more children on this particular grant than there was on the other. And so that's why it was imperative that we get started now. In addition to that, I know that you are also enrolling children right now. And what we want to do is make sure that you understand it now. So as you're enrolling them with the right information so you don't have to go backwards in time. But again, I know you have current enrolled children who, to your point, yes, you're going to have some work to do, and we need everyone to understand what it is and get started. So I do recommend that you look at the act, understand what they mean by relevant time period. The team will be working with you, and yes, to Jenna's point, we are going to schedule some meetings to go over it, just like we did with those who were on expansion. One of the things that I would ask right now, if Nina or anyone who went through this before, if you want to chime in, your experience with that, that would be great.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Rito. Well, I think, well, we started way in advance, right? And we did several file reviews, both with Ms. Jana and I'm trying to read Lucia or Luciana?
Lucia, thank you.
Yes, and then we did our own file review as well. So I think we started well in advance to do that. We also have been prepping for our own federal review for our base grant. But we also have not received anything, but anything that we did for the expansion review, we're also trying to go through for our own, just so that they see some consistency as well. I would say that the actual review was very positive. They visited all 3 of our sites. They went into the classrooms that were part of that program. And they did interview teachers. They were very specific interviewing the teachers. Asked about professional development, a lot of questions on how teachers are supported to do their work. There was a lot of emphasis on the lead and water, both training and testing. I thought that was peculiar, right? I know we have to do that every year, but in the past they have never asked about those things, at least not in my time. And you know, they were actually taking pictures of bulletin boards. They took pictures inside some of the classrooms. And they really did they did a lot of walkarounds in the playgrounds as well. I would say that was another focus that I felt they were really, you know, they really wanted to see what was going on in the playground. For me, or for our agency at least, they didn't ask a lot about COVID, which I was really surprised. But we did follow all of the protocols, you know, the hand washing, asking them to take their temperature and all of those things. And perhaps that's why they didn't ask, but it was a good experience overall, at least for us.
Thanks, Nina. Thank you. Anyone else who went through the experience who wants to share before we move on?
So, Mr. Rito, if I can add just that we did have to work on our files. You know,
yes.
I thought our files were pretty complete, but we still had to work a little bit on them. So,
absolutely. So again, to Nina's point, this is not just a file review. They're looking at a lot of other things, and we're going to go over all of those. But one of the things that we know has been an issue and reviews in other places, and we really don't want it to be a problem here. To something that Nina said, we're looking for consistency. And so the exact way that the files were set up and what they saw, we'll be working with you to tell you exactly what your ERCIA file needs to contain so that they can see, because this is about systems. It's not about a standalone grant. We have 3 different federal funds, and they want to see that we have systems in place. In order to show a system, they have to be able to see when they came in with expansion, what kind of system did we employ for ERCIA files, for example. They need to see that same system for ERCIA files for CCP and the same system for ERCIA files for Head Start, Early Head Start. And so that's what we're building here, is the system and employing it with all of you, so that regardless of which one we're doing, we are able to have the same thing across all programs and across all sites. And so we're here today to really talk about the kinds of things that we're going to be working with you. Jacinta, who supervises teams, walked through this process as well with her teams to make sure they literally were on calls. They were working with agencies, going over files, making sure all the way, and I'm just going to say this, all the way till we were ready to start presenting those files to the reviewers, making sure that all of our I's were dotted and T's were crossed. And in some cases, saying, no, pull that out because that's more information than they need to see. So staying right on point with what needed to be seen. Jacinta, if you want to chime in, I'll give you a minute.
Thanks, Rethel. I think I know the concern with Tasia's comment. You know, this is something that is new in regards to their ERCIA file, with Freddie and Zenobia on Team A just setting up these kind of quick TA sessions, which is, I believe, something Breakwaters consultants will also do. I think if we just keep on task with trying to collect the information from the families, I think families are pretty open to providing the information. And so I think the biggest challenge for us was just making sure that we stayed within the system of how we were presenting the files. And so now that we know what they're looking for, we can definitely let you know how to arrange the files, but just kind of staying on task with us, because there, you know, we have so many agencies that are going to go through this review. And so we're basically going to do the same TA with all the agencies. And so we're kind of short on time. Sometimes it feels like, whenever we don't meet our deadlines. But I think families are open to providing the information. It's just how we decide to document that information and then how we organize the files that was a bigger challenge. But like I said, since we've been through it, we know what they're looking for now. And so it's just a matter of getting the information into the files and organizing them that way.
Thanks, Jacinta. And so by the luck of the draw, if there's any luck in anything, the first one they did was our expansion grant, because there were only 5 agencies. We were able to learn some lessons going through that on the way they're doing things now for reviews. And we have that now for you. And we'll be working with you on this. So we're already a little step above where we were when we started with those 5 agencies. And so know that there's been some lessons learned, know that the staff are a little bit more trained on this and can support better through this process as well. And yes, we do have the support of others as we walk through this. But again, we wanted to be here today to just walk through some of the things we do know and talk about some of the things we're going to be doing with you. So there will be some TA around ERCIA files, but the one thing I ask of you is go ahead and start looking at your current files. And again, as has been stated here, they're looking at relevant time period. And relevant time period is, what was I doing 12 months before you enrolled me? And so if you enrolled me July of 2022, what was I doing from last year of 2021? Was I employed? Did I have a job and lose a job? What did I have some other income? Was I getting unemployment? What was going on with me? So again, one of the things that we do in Head Start, Early Head Start, is relationships, and we're talking to our parents. And so in talking with parents, these are the kinds of things we're asking that your staff do. is talk to them about what's been going on in their life for the last 12 months. You may find out that that gives you some information, not just on URSEA, but some other things you can use to support those families. And so the conversations are valuable for more than just your URSEA file, just to find out what's been going on with your families, especially as we've been in a pandemic and still are over the last couple of years. And so I employ all of you to start pulling out your files and looking at them. And again, knowing you're going to get TA, we're going to be asking for your files because we will have to share those files virtually with reviewers. And Zariah moved into her new role as supervisor, and then all of a sudden was doing a federal review and actually walked through and did the URSEA file review with the reviewers successfully. And I say successfully because the agencies did what we were asking them to do, and she was able to then take that and work within our area and actually get those files up and reviewed with the reviewers in order for us to make it through that section of the review. So I'm going to move on unless somebody else wants to chime in to the next topic, because this one we can beat it up, but know that we're going to come back and do some TA and help you through this one because we do know it's a heavy lift. All right, hearing no one chime in or you go ahead to the next slide, Jenny. So HR is just as important. And so they're going to be looking at the date of hire and making sure that we did a background check. And you all have heard this before. We're not supposed to hire or put anybody on a federal grant until we have a criminal background check. And so they are looking at it, and there's a document that you're going to receive where you will fill it in. And I will give other people who've been through this a chance to chime in as well. But what you will be doing is you will be looking at all of your staff that are on your Early Head Start CCP grant. You will be looking at their background check. What was their date of hire? And then you're going to fill in information about their criminal background check, their sex offender register, FBI clearance, state clearance, child abuse and neglect. Because again, what they are looking to is obtain information to see, did we do a criminal records check prior to hire? That's the standard, that's the requirement, and we have to be compliant. And they literally, she sat with us, with me and a staff member from Mary Crane, and literally walked through the document and to see whether or not if every one of those were accurate. She had it for the 5 agencies. I will say thank you again to the organizations because there were 3 that she identified. They were all DFSS staff. They were not staff at any of our delegate agencies. So I thank you for your work and adhering to the policy and doing everything that you need to do. B, you're up on screen. Do you want to add anything to this part of the work?
No, Anna, and I'm just glad that the agencies that went through it with us before were so well prepared. I know it was a lot of late evening transfers of lists back and forth. But I think, you know, the agencies that went through this with us, they did a phenomenal job. So just kudos to them. And we'll do it again.
Absolutely. And so there's a document that you will be filling out where you will be able to visually see, if you have not already looked at, did you hire anybody in advance of their criminal records check actually clearing? Because once you put it there, you can't miss it. You can see the difference in the dates. And so you're going to get that document. Those of you who went through it before, you're going to get it again for your other staff on this grant. So you'll be doing this all over again and working with B and team to make sure that we can do that. One of the other documents on those same staff is specific to your lead teacher qualifications. Is making sure that you fill this document in that talks about the qualifications for your Early Head Start CCP staff and that they have a professional development plan in place. All Early Head Start staff should have professional development plans. And so right now I'm saying to all of you, look to make sure that your staff have in place a professional development plan that speaks to where that individual is and what it is that they're pursuing. If I've got a CDA, I'm in a program pursuing an AA, et cetera, et cetera. And William and team through quality will be looking at that and working and making sure that we're able to identify and all of the staff that you have and that we can see that documentation both in our system and that it is then going to be on documentation that we'll be presenting to the reviewer. And so both sides of your staff, not just one, but their criminal records check and also their qualifications and PD plans are a part of this review. Dorothy, I see you. Any comments about that process for you?
No. Okay, I had a problem unmuting. I really don't, I think the assistance you all gave us in the tracking document that was created really helps each agency determine who you may have concerns and who you may not have concerns about. And so I think if we follow that guide, we do pretty well with this area. This has been something that has been ongoing for us for several years now, so it's not new at all. And so I just think you really have to check those dates, especially for us. We had a lot of tenured people, meaning that had been here for 10 years and all of that. And so we had to really pay very close attention to that and that 5-year update that is required for all staff.
Absolutely. And so as most of you know, if you don't know, we're right now beginning to do background checks again. And so what you're going to be getting, and if I know B's working with the team right now in accurate biometrics, because what I recommended was we not wait until after this review. Let's go ahead and get these done so we have new checks on everyone. So I know we're working on that process right now and getting those sessions set up so that people can get their updated background checks so that we can show that we not only understand the requirement, but yes, we do these every 5 years. As I know when B came to me, I said, my trigger for all of you is, guess what, November 1 of this year, I would have been here 5 years, so it must be time for background checks. Let's just get them done. And so B immediately went and started working with accurate biometrics on that. But again, making sure that you can see what's going on with your staff, and then anything that comes up as an issue for us, we're going to have conversations with you, because again, this is about us showing that we have a process and a system, and our system should show, especially since we have and work with accurate biometrics, that we're getting background checks in advance of hire, and that everybody understands the requirement for the state and what you need to do. That, for us, if there's someone in your building and you don't have it yet, you can bring that person in. Licensing says that you can, they can't be unsupervised, but you can't put them on our grant. And so all of those things are triggers for us that we'll be looking at. Okay. So more work on that. I did see the question in the chat. Yes, you are going to get these same documents that we're talking about. I didn't want to flood you with emails for stuff you didn't understand. So we want to have this meeting first, and you're going to be receiving these emails with these documents and attachments that we're going to be asking you to start working on. Jenna, did you want to chime in on anything? Okay. All right, so next slide. So data tours, we know that they're going to do data tours, and what you have here is what we could expect. But again, the reviewers, as we learned in this particular review, has the ability to make some determinants about all of these different things. But the program management and quality improvement was done at DFSS with the leadership team. That was done on the first day. They decided to do a 4-day review. So we were together Tuesday through Friday, and that was given as an option. It could be either Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday. I wanted Monday as a date for us to finalize, make sure we had everything and everybody was ready. So I wanted that Monday. So we actually did Tuesday through Friday. And so again, based on the lead reviewer, we will know, and you will know exactly what that week's going to look like. But here, what you see are estimates of about the amount of time that you can expect some of these data tours to take as far as number of hours. Education, about 1.5 hours. Health and safety, what they did in this particular review for expansion, they separated the two. B ended up doing 2 separate ones. She did one for health, and then she did one for safety. They can do health and safety together as it's identified here, but our reviewers decided to separate the two, and that we understand the reviewers can make some determinants about that. And so that's what they did last time. We don't know, and we won't know until we get further into this process. but that one was done again with DFSS. And I thank those of you organizations that actually supported us and was at those reviews alongside me. It was very helpful. The reviewers felt that having you, your organizations there, really made the point of how we have systems in place, what we're doing here at DFSS and how it is actually working on the ground for you, actually made that story glow for them. So I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. When we did education, we did have Deb Zapalik from Teaching Strategies, because we wanted to make sure that they understood about the training side of this, but they also understood, you know, the curriculum that we use and all of that. Family community engagement, was about an hour. And again, another person who stepped in those shoes, Tamela, who's on the call and actually did that review or that data tour. She was assisted by one of our SSCs, or support service coordinators. And I will tell you the comment that came back from that reviewer who did it. They were really, really pleased to be able to hear from an SSC and how they work with you. And so we're taking all of these different comments that we're getting, and we're going to be employing some of that in this one. If they said that was good before, hey, it's good enough for this one too. So we're going to do some more of that. The fiscal exploration again was all week, Tuesday through Friday. And so when they did the Tuesday through Friday, they had a lot of documentation that they were asking for. And I thank Ken McGee from Claridine, because he worked with us and supported our fiscal team in prepping for that. And we really, really want to thank him for his knowledge and what he brought to the table, because it helped them understand the kinds of things that they needed to prepare for. But we also are working now with the City of Chicago departments to make sure, because they were engaged, we need to make sure that they're not only engaged, but understand the kind of questions that they're receiving from reviewers and the documentation that's going to be required of them as well. URSEA is a data tour, but then it goes from that all the way through pulling up and looking at the file. So questions about eligibility, recruitment, selection, and all of that, and how we do it, what's our system around that. And then it gets into pulling up the files the rest of the week. Again, we got no questions. And one of the things that the lead reviewer will do with me is, if there's any questions from any of these data tours or anything that they see at the end of the day, she will bring it up to me and say that reviewer did not get or is looking for or had an issue. I will say there were no issues. Again, testament to all of you and your work. And again, Zariah stepping in those shoes. They were able to end that review. And I kept asking Zariah, they didn't ask anything else? They're not asking you for anything else? And she kept saying no. And I was just absolutely as pleased as punch, believe me, because that again was one of those that we walked into this a little concerned about and walked away going, yes. So again, I thank you for all of that. But I want to go back to one point when I'm talking about fiscal. I do want you to understand they're not coming to you for fiscal. Fiscal is the system at the grantee level. And so they're looking at our systems and how we are working from our notice of award all the way through how we voucher, how when they give us our money, how we pull it out of our fiscal system, and how we're managing all of that as a City of Chicago. But they're not doing a fiscal exploration with our delegates. I will say in the FA2 previously, when we did have a data tour, that reviewer wanted some of the delegate individuals there. We did have some individuals from agencies at that one. But I think this one, I think they changed a little bit on how they do it. And they literally kept it to us, meaning the grantee and City of Chicago. Program governance, they did do we talked about it in our information as we were going through program management. And then she said what we need now and we will be doing is our interview with governance. We did a separate CPPC and then a program governance with our CCUO. I will say that what she decided to do, our lead reviewer, was not to do the separate parent interview, but normally they do. She decided the parent interview and CPPC would be done together. And so she asked of those individuals questions about how they felt supported and how they chose EHS expansion and how it was working for them as families. And so she asked them those questions when she was doing her CPPC review. So again, some of this is in the hands of the reviewer, but you have this because this is a way that those kinds of things could happen. And so just making sure that you can see what it looks like over the span of a week. And so then where you are, go ahead to the next one, Jen, it's fine. Where you are and where you sit is the classrooms. What we're going to do is support you through it. We're going to do visits to your classrooms. We're going to look, see, is there anything we can recommend? All those kinds of things are going to happen. But when it comes to the classroom explorations, this is about service to families and children. This is about what's going on in that classroom, instructional support of those children, being able to see that that teacher has a schedule, is following that schedule, that they can see that they're using a curriculum. We've said the curriculum is creative curriculum. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. We've said the curriculum is creative curriculum because we had people who we were working with who kept saying teaching strategies gold. Gold is the assessment system. Creative curriculum is the curriculum. And so we're gonna be working with you to make sure your staff are using the right language on that, because we did find that people were kind of caught up in that one. We can't get caught up in that on the ground. And I will say by the time they got there, the staff were saying creative curriculum. So we're going to keep working on that. And I just ask you to do that. But they will be coming out to you. They will be coming into your sites. They were going to your classrooms and spend about 15 minutes doing an observation and observing that teacher's interaction with children, that their activities, that you can see that those activities link back to the lesson plan. And if there are any children in there who have a diagnosed disability, that we can see exactly how you're supporting those children. So they're looking for all of those kinds of things. They will then want to take that teacher out of the classroom and then do an interview with that teacher. What we did before, we will do again. We had staff available at those sites who could go into the classroom and cover the classroom if needed, because we know that all hands on deck means us on deck with you. And so our staff were in those buildings and ready to go in and cover a classroom if needed, so that teacher could come out if you didn't have the staff that could support that. So we're, again, wrapping our arms around you and going to support you through this process. One of the things that you're going to get from us are some guides, and those guides are going to help you think through how you do all of this. We gave these to the expansion funded agencies. We're going to give it now to all of you. And those guides are going to be required that they come back to us, because we're going to look at how you say you employ all of this on the ground at your organization. Because again, a lot of what we're doing is happening at our side when we're doing some of those data tours. And we want to be able to speak about not only what we're doing, but we want to be able to speak to what you're doing to make sure that you are there doing the work and we are there able to express how great your work is. To Nina's point, when she said they weren't asking about COVID, we spent a lot of time talking about what we do in the city of Chicago and have been doing around COVID mitigation, and making sure that they understood when they go to the sites, this is something that we've been doing since day one when you opened. And so what they wanted to be able to see basically when they got to the door is that you were following some of that they were, we were doing fever tests, that we were, people, you could see that there were, sanitizer around and things like that, and that the facilities are clean, because those are the kinds of things that impact COVID. And so we had talked about that already. They just, in their exploration, they were able to see some of those things being employed at your site. Our guides will be around, but you have to have individuals. So when I'm looking at the word guides here, the other side of guides, we're going to give you some documents to fill out. It's going to help us. But physically, you need to have people at your sites who are going to walk the reviewers through your buildings. CSD will be there to assist, but you need to have your staff available to walk through. What I said to those other 5 organizations is leadership needs to be there. You need to be there. You need to be readily available. You need to be able to walk them through and answer their questions, because they will want to walk through. Like Nina said, they want to go to your playground. They want to see what's going on. Do you have a playground that children are going on that's safe? Right? And so I ask you now to walk through your playgrounds and see, do you have issues right now? Are your wood chips so low that there's an exposure that needs to be repaired? Because if so, this is the time for you to go ahead and order your wood chips and get them on your playgrounds. And we know that there's a line at the base of your playground structures that say where those chips are supposed to come up to. And if that line is exposed, it means that you got a problem. And so start looking at that. right now. I know one of the things we worked with Globetrotters is that they went ahead and got certified to do playground inspections. And they did go out, and we're going to be asking them to go out again and do some more inspections of our sites. And so again, in partnering with you, we're working on this, just asking you to work with us on it. And if there's something that needs to be repaired, now is the time to get it done. All right, go ahead. Next slide, Jenny. Whew, that was a lot of talking. So I know it raises questions for all of you, and here's an opportunity. I'm going to go into the chat to see while we go ahead and see what else. Someone says, we have partners. Do you need a list of their name and have them fingerprinted? If you have partners on our EHS-CCP, again, we're going to do this verification because everybody who's on CCP, who's providing services wherever you are, and I know SGA, for example, has it all in family child care homes, and which means every home needs to be background checked. Every home needs to have the credentials, every home. And so you're going to have a lot of documentation that you have to do for all of these. And so the answer about what you need, yes, they all have to be fingerprinted. I see B answered already to a question. Ken already responded and said, if you have partners, have copies of all partnership agreements, review for consistency and accuracy of all the stated responsibilities for each partner. Please, 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 because you all don't do it on a consistent basis the exact same way. And so your partnership agreement, one may speak to, we only give them slots and they have the capacity to do everything else. Another agreement is going to say, we do everything for them. We give them slots, but our staff is managing all of the component areas. I want to make sure that we can see exactly what those are. So my other piece of this, thank you, Ken, is I need copies of your agreements because there was a question asked of me of a reviewer, and it was great that I did have some of those because I could actually speak directly from what you had in your agreements. So when we're looking at age group, thank you, Dorothy. One of the things that I said that we have traditionally done is allowed agencies, for example, if a child turned 3 in the middle of a year, we've allowed people to go ahead and move that child into Head Start, for example. What we're saying now is we need to be consistent across the board. A child who turns 3 in the middle of a program year is eligible for Head Start starting September 1 of that next program year. We're asking that children are not moved in the middle of the year. And so I'm going to be sending out a policy statement and making sure everybody understands what that is specifically, so that we are making sure that we're following that same guidance.
So
Trying to see
Rachel,
what, yes, go ahead.
may I ask this question? Does that
Sure.
mean that a child, a new enrollee who, if a child enters our program now and they turn 3, for example, September 5th, they are now eligible, they can still remain eligible for EHS-CCP?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Because the transition for that child to move into kindergarten would not be until they were turning, that child would be turning 5 probably September of a whole extra year, because they weren't eligible to go into kindergarten.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to have any missteps with when children are transitioning. And
So
I'm
that
trying
means
to
we
clean
will
up.
have a lot of late 3s in our early program.
Correct. Correct.
Which has not been our pattern.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
So I just
But
want to make that
right.
Okay.
Right. But what we've had is a lot of children transition out of the EHS program and then didn't in every case. And I'm going to say this, when we had 7,404 Head Start slots, it wasn't an issue. We only have 1,469 or 89, but we have a whole lot more EHS. I don't have anywhere for all those kids to go anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clear.
Yeah. You know, when the system changed, it changed how we need to be thinking about this. But thanks for your questions, Dorothy. I'm trying to see if I missed anything in the chat. It doesn't look like I did, that if other people hasn't already responded to. So are there any other questions? Before I summarize? Hi, go ahead.
I've had my hand up for 10 minutes.
I'm sorry, I can't see hands. That's why I'm saying now unmute. Hey, Tamela, go ahead.
Two things real quick. And I saw it in the chat about the creative curriculum, Ready, Set, Go trainings. They've been going on for the last 2 weeks. I think we have 4 or 5 more to go. They are asking questions in those boot camp setup about the creative curriculum, just to let you guys know, and it is coming from the protocol questions. So Angela is doing like these one-on-ones, and this is why I kind of unmuted myself, because I was looking at the chat and the questions are, should babies walk around with a bottle? Should we have soft materials? So, I mean, some of these people may be new, some of them just need refresher. We are really trying to get teachers into these boot camps just so they can talk to the curriculum and the assessment as well. So if you please can get somebody to attend. I know Ada has not attended any. Trinity, I know you guys, I think, reached out today, but we really need people to attend the trainings, because I was on site during the teacher interviews, and they came really hard on those boards, the individualizations. They talked a lot about the environment, but something else that one of the SSCs brought up to me, please make sure you have the right curriculum. One of the classrooms had a preschool curriculum. You should have IT too. I have to speak to that. Like, if you don't have the right one, and you guys know we are not physically giving you a book, but they are on the platform. If you don't have the right book set on the platform, please email me so we can make sure that that happens for you. Because Deb, she did it for another site. I need to know if you have the right one, because shoes is not a preschool. I mean, it's not an IT2 study. That is preschool. You have the wrong curriculum. Also, I'm going to drop in the chat, because we did this also for the teacher credentials and professional development. I'm going to put a survey. If you could just have everybody fill it out at the sites, and they could upload the professional developments right into that survey. So no emailing, everything is filled out, and we have the spreadsheet ready to go for that team. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Tamela. Sorry your hand was up for 10 minutes, but your information was so valuable. I needed to let you do it when I wasn't chiming in. Before I get to you, Jacinta, Alpha, you've had your hand up. Did your question get answered?
Yeah, you answered it about the 3-year-olds.
Great, thank you. Jacinta.
Thanks, Aretha. I wanted to mention the professional development plans. As my team has been out reviewing professional development plans, what we're seeing a lot of is we have the professional development plans, but they're not being updated. So they're being written in the beginning of the program year, and then there's no monitoring or updating of the professional development plan. So in preparation for the FA2, I'm suggesting and strongly recommending that professional development plans be written, and that there is a closer monitoring of the steps or action items that that need to occur. And so if that's maybe quarterly or maybe twice a year instead of the once a year, because and then it just becomes kind of like a wish list. This is what we want to do. And a lot of the statements are, I want to look into returning to school. I want to, and I think those are pretty, those are statements that really don't, show any action. And so what we're trying to see is that if teachers are writing these professional development plans, that they're being followed through. And so if there's a phone call to be made, if there's loans to be requested, if there's a scholarship to apply for, we want to see the follow-up on that. That's it.
Thanks, Jacinta. So I know this was a lot that we've kind of thrown at you, but just know we're going to be supporting you through this process. One of the things we did before is that we assigned agencies a lead. So you will get the name of the individual who's going to be your lead that you can go to for support. They can help you get what you need, make sure that the things that you are asking for, that you're getting it, that you're getting the support, that they're going to be, in some cases, your boot on the ground, meaning visiting your sites. So we're going to do that again. It worked before. We're going to do it again. You'll get a list. Each of the leaders of the CSD leadership team will get a list of agencies that they're responsible for. And you will know exactly who your person is. Now, that does not mean that you don't communicate with a center. You don't communicate with Nicole. What this means is you're going to have an additional person to support you through this process. All right. Again, you're going to be receiving emails with documents that we talked about in this meeting. You will have this deck, and you will have the information in the chat so that you can do the teacher credential survey, so you can get into the policy on relevant time period. Those things are in the chat. The video that I mentioned is also in the chat, so you'll be able to access that from the link to this meeting. We will do follow-up meetings. This will not be done at the EDPD meeting because it is too detailed. We need to meet just with you. So there will be additional meetings where it will be just for EHS-CCP funded agencies, just like today. So I thank you again for doing this. But know that we will continue this process as we walk through this. As soon as we know that we have a 45-day notice, it's just going to kick it up a notch. But right now, no, today I don't have it. And so take your time, but talk to your staff, make sure that you are EHS-CCP funded, that you are looking at having a FA2 review, talk to your PPC, talk to your board, make sure that everybody is aware of where we're headed with this, because again, they will be a part of this at some point. And we want to make sure that they are all aware of it. When I say your board, because you should be making sure that they understand that we're going through a review. And then once we get our report back, you should be sharing that report with them. They shouldn't get a report on an FA2 not knowing that you've gone through an FA2. So I need you to make sure that that communication stream is there, as we are required as the federal standard is to communicating these kinds of things with our governance structures. All right. I'm going to stop for a minute, see if there are any other hands up, if there are any other questions before I give you back. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I have a question. I was trying to find my hand. My name is Sharice. Right. I'm from It Takes a Village Family, schools. So we went on the circuit. We went on the Survey Monkey, and we don't see our site on there.
The Survey Monkey for teacher credentials.
Teacher credential survey. Yes.
Okay. Which site? I'm sorry, I missed it.
It Takes a Village.
Okay. Let me check.
Thank you. Thanks for letting us know that. Thank you. Any other questions from anybody? Unmute. I'm scrolling to see if I see any hands, but I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Ken, you're on here. You have anything you want to add? Don't want to miss the opportunity.
Yeah, just real quick, as far as folks getting prepared, you want to just make sure that you're just at the management level, that you understand the difference of what EHS-CCP is versus EHS. They're two different programs with two different levels of intentionality as far as what they were designed for. So you don't want to sort of merge them together. You want to be able to speak to them and understand them. Understand this program as a separate program that has some different dynamics that are unique to it. So that's one of those things that you just want to make sure that you start to be able to almost do a T-sheet, basically saying, this is what EHS is, this is what EHS-CCP is, so you and your staff can start to talk about what the difference is between the two programs. That's what I'd say at this point, yeah.
Thanks, Ken. And my last piece of information that I want to share is a reminder to everybody. While we have the flexibility within the child care assistance program for those 3 months of a parent looking for a job or going back to school, this is a golden opportunity for you to enroll parents into your EHS-CCP program. and they're automatically eligible for CCP while you are working with them to make sure they can get back to school or back to work. They are then eligible for EHS and the CCP portion. You then would be reimbursed for their being in your program. And that is another way. And I don't see enough people taking advantage of this opportunity to ensure that you are letting parents in your community know that you have this as an opportunity for them, because we know many of the individuals who are not enrolling are saying they're not enrolling because they're not working or in school. They've heard this so many years. They need to understand that they are now able to come in. You will support them for 3 months. You'll get paid for 3 months while you're helping them, because we know mom can't go to work if she's got to take baby with her. Mom can't necessarily enroll in school and do an assessment test at a community college with baby at hip. And so this helps mom get back on track. So again, I encourage all of you to make sure that you are getting that message out there loud and clear, that you have eligibility in your program, you got seats, and you will be willing to work with parents who are in transition and accessing the CCAP program on their behalf. Do we complete the survey for each teacher individually? Tamela, can you answer that?
You are completing it by classroom. I do apologize, but we need that classroom breakdown, but you can upload both the teacher and assistants, PD to that classroom one by one. Yes, you have to repeat it. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Tamela.
I noticed that on the Survey Monkey, where it asks about the credentials, it's listing the ECE. I don't see anything that says infant toddler credential, which is needed for the birth to 3 program.
I do apologize. I did a copy. I'm doing that right now while you guys are talking. But you will need to list both, because they should have both. They get the ECE to get your what is it?
IT.
Infant toddler. Thank you. Credentials. So I'm going to have both listed.
Thanks, Tamela. Thanks for the question.
You're welcome.
The question is, will the link change, Tamela?
No, it won't. It's live, so I'm just updating while y'all talking. But please give me about to 12:30. It'll be good.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll give you that grace, Tamela. Thank you. Any other questions before we give you a few minutes back in your day? I'm scrolling. I don't see any hands. I don't see any other in the chat that we haven't responded to. All right. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll be supporting you through this process. You will be getting emails with documents that I would suggest you look at that link to the NHSA webinar, because again, just hearing what other people went through, you've heard from some people here who went through it here in the city of Chicago with us, but it's great to hear from other people in other regions or in Region 5 that's already heard it as well.
I'm
We
sorry.
will be, yes, go ahead.
Yes,
Jasmine.
we just saw that It Takes a Village is misspelled. I think it's on there, but it's misspelled.
All right, we'll get that corrected.
Yeah, It Takes a Village is misspelled. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. All right, so we will be reconvening. We will be together. You will have support. Your SSCs who are on teams are going to be working with you on our CIA files, but I can't impress enough that you need to go ahead and get started looking at them. And then again, questions you have, please shoot them to right now to the supervisors of your teams. And they will then be directing those questions to me and others. I'm going to say this to all of you because of how important it is that I say this. I like to be available to people. I am not going to be in the office next week. And so I don't want anyone to email me and then be upset that you don't get a response to me next week. I'm saying this ahead of time. I'll be out of the office Monday through Friday. I will be back in the office on the 1st. But my teams are available to you in the interim and available to answer specific questions. And if they can't answer those questions, they will be able to reach out to someone who can assist. So again, I can't thank you enough for being with us today, and know that we will be together again. And we will continue to walk through this process together, and we will have a successful FA2 for our EHS-CCP program. Looking forward to it. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.